G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmITheA, where on our first story today, OP gets in trouble for giving their sister-in-law baby formula. How does that work? Read on and find out. Now, if you love today's bloody good content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck up one of the Barbies, smack that like button, and read on, because I think you're going to like it. Let's go. Am I the asshole for giving my sister-in-law baby formula? I'm going to start my post by saying that I don't have kids and I have no experience with babies or motherhood or children. I'm 18, and beyond being around them in group settings, where at least one of the parents and a ton of other people around, that's it. Just for some context to my post. My brother's wife had a baby 17 days ago. I didn't go visit them yet, but my brother and sister-in-law sent me some pictures. My brother said our cousin Rachel was around a lot because my sister-in-law is having trouble breastfeeding, and Rachel is a big believer in it and is helping her. I offered to help them if they needed it, and on Saturday, they asked me to go to the grocery store for them because no home delivery had an open spot. When I dropped the food off, I was shocked at how bad my sister-in-law looked. She literally looked like the Walking Dead, barely awake and not showered, and she was actually crying because she was so frustrated. It actually scared me how bad she looked. At first I didn't want to butt in, but it bothered me so much I went back to the store and got a can of baby formula. I figured it would give her a break and my niece could eat. It was even worse when I gave it to my sister-in-law because I said that it was no big deal if my niece got formula. It wasn't a problem. My sister-in-law broke down, and I was honestly scared because she was weeping. Like in the movies when someone dies kind of weeping. No one told her that it was okay not to breastfeed. She felt so guilty because of Rachel butting in, and no one telling her that formula was okay. I actually ripped my brother a new one because he sat back while my sister-in-law suffered. There was no way he didn't see how bad she looked. No offense, but she looked terrible. And I got my sister-in-law to shower after my niece ate and fell asleep, and I changed the sheets on the bed and told my sister-in-law to sleep while my niece slept, and I said that I would get more baby formula. I thought I did the right thing because my sister-in-law actually stopped crying, showered, and slept, and the next 3 days she looked better and didn't cry again. My niece gets full. My idiot brother smartened up and told Rachel to stay away and everyone else, especially our parents and sister-in-law's parents, to butt out. They take turns feeding so they can both sleep. My parents and Rachel are furious at me. Sister-in-law's sister was in agreement with Rachel and left me an angry voicemail full of swearing. Rachel basically had sister-in-law holding the baby while topless 24/7, and my idiot brother sat there and didn't help with the baby at all. Rachel breastfed all her kids until they could walk and talk and never had problems, but my sister-in-law obviously did. My dad said I overstepped and should not have butted in. Normally, I'm big on MYOB, but this time I was scared crapless after seeing sister-in-law on Saturday. Since I'm not a mother or baby expert, I have no idea what it's like with a newborn. I'm second-guessing now after feeling like I did the right thing, because everyone is angry with me and says that I should MYOB. Now in the comments, not the asshole. You probably saved the baby's life. Husband should have taken her to the hospital, and they would have probably done the same thing, given the baby formula. Some people are so smug about thinking they are right, they ignore the facts under their noses. Edit, not only are you not the asshole, you are a smart, kind, and loving person. And OP replies, thank you for saying this. It sounds stupid, but I was second-guessing myself because everyone got so mad. But honestly, I have never been more afraid when I saw my sister-in-law. Not the asshole. The breast is best crowd seem all too willing to allow suffering, but the reality is, fed is best. And you did a good thing for your sister-in-law and the baby. Yes, fed is best. Also, just because it doesn't happen right away doesn't mean it won't happen. Just keep trying if it's important to you while you supplement. Baby's latch will get stronger as they get older. Breastfeeding is not linear. Proud of you, OP, for recognizing your sister-in-law needed help, not the asshole. Not the asshole. I teach developmental psychology, and one of the biggest conversations I have with my students each semester is that a fed baby with sane parents is the goal. Breastfeeding is often sold as the best and only responsible option, but that just isn't true. While breast milk is associated with better short-term outcomes, by the time the kids are in school, there is no significant difference between breastfed and formula kids. You did right by helping your sister-in-law. In that state, she couldn't be the best possible parent for her kid. Sometimes we need to be given permission to do things in a way that works for us rather than the way that society tells us. You gave her that permission. And OP replies, I didn't even realize what a big deal people made over breastfeeding until my sister-in-law broke down and I posted here. Before that, I had no idea. Sometimes it takes someone who doesn't know any better to say the obvious thing which everyone else is too afraid to say. It's like a superpower sometimes. You did a good thing. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for buying my son a Halloween costume? I, 34 female, and my husband, 35 male, have a 5-year-old son together. My husband was raised in a family where boys play with cars and girls with dolls. Son has a huge obsession with unicorns and asked if he could go as a unicorn for Halloween. My husband told him no, and he would take him shopping for a boy costume. I found one in his size and wrapped the costume up to surprise him. I gave it to him after school, and he immediately went to put it on. My husband looks at me and tells me that I'm trying to change our son to be girly and should have bought him a Spider-Man or Superman costume. This incident happened over the weekend, and husband is still fuming over it. Am I the asshole for buying my son a Halloween costume? Now in the comments, everyone sucks here. This thread will turn into a debate about gender norms, but really, the situation is that you and your husband don't know how to discuss and resolve your differences in parenting. And if you think your spouse is irredeemable in his attitudes about all this, then buying a unicorn suit for your kid isn't fixing anything. Halloween won't be the only time of year where you and your husband disagree about how to raise your son. Start communicating and compromising, or expect a lot more turmoil. Not the asshole. Unicorns are unicorns. It doesn't matter the gender. It is a magic horse with a stabbing horn on its head. What is not to love? Not the asshole. Your husband is upset over a child's Halloween costume because he's convinced it'll make your son quote-unquote gay. Your son is 5 years old. Nobody should be thinking that hard about the sexuality of a child. Your husband sounds insecure and homophobic. What will your husband do if your son does come out as gay years from now? Or, if your son is straight, will he forever be concerned about sharing his interests with his dad because he's scared dad will say they are gay interests? Not the asshole. Your husband should let him play with whatever makes him happy, not just what he deems manly enough. OP replies to that, My son loves My Little Pony. I bought him a few toys from the show and husband freaked out. Your husband needs to see a therapist to address his homophobia before it damages your child's development. Creative play, including fantasy themes, is good for kids, and potentially his relationship with your son. Not the asshole in the slightest. Info. What will happen if your son comes out as gay in a couple of years? Will he have a safe environment to do so? And what if he isn't gay, but simply keeps liking unicorns and the color pink? Is this a more common challenge in your marriage? And OP replies, My husband has made it clear that no child of his will be gay. I will support my son through everything. It's been a common challenge, and whenever I try to talk to him, he ignores my concerns. I am very worried about having another child with him. Not the asshole. I think perhaps you should have discussed it with your husband first, but overall, buying your son a Halloween costume that he desperately wants does not an asshole make. Your husband needs to work on his preconceived notions regarding gender roles for the sake of your child. OP replies, I did discuss with husband about the costume, and it turned into an argument. Son wanted to be a unicorn, and husband told him that only girls like unicorns. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for doing a chargeback on my photographer after the session? So I was due with my second baby in December, but due to complications, I'm going to be induced this Monday. I had paternity photos scheduled for the end of November, and when I tried to reschedule, the photographer didn't have any availability. I was scrambling to find another photographer, and I found one, and I love her work. The only thing is, the first photographer I had booked had a studio, and I wanted a maternity boudoir session. This new photographer has gorgeous maternity boudoir in her portfolio, but it's outside, and it's just too cold for that right now. She agreed to try to rent space, but said it might be hard on such short notice. I paid her fee, $595, and agreed to pay for the studio rental fee as well. She did find one, but they have a 2-hour minimum. She felt bad sticking me with the whole cost, so she said she would go halfsies with me, which added an extra $120 to my total. She paid the whole fee of $240 and billed me my half. My session was supposed to be at 11:30 today, but my childcare for my older child fell through, so I figured I would just bring her with me and bribe her with candy to sit quietly. The photographer had been there since 10:30 because it was a 2-hour block, so I figured I would just go early, but when I got there at 11, the photographer was in the studio with another client. The studio I paid for. Then the owner of the studio told me that my older child was not allowed in the studio during boudoir sessions. You have to be 18 according to their policy, and asked if Mary, the photographer, had sent me the policy packet. I said no, and the owner didn't really care, just said older kid couldn't come in. I start getting upset at the owner, and Mary comes into the reception area, and I tell her, how could she not tell me you had to be over 18? Mary said she did email me the policies, but since I never mentioned having an older kid, let alone one that would be coming with me, she didn't see a reason to specify since I said that it would be just me. In the end, my mum came to watch older kid and Mary did my photos, but I was supposed to have an hour session and I only got 25 minutes because of the older kid. I saw the proofs and they're beautiful, but I'm still mad that 1, I paid for the studio where Mary had another client who probably didn't have to pay for the space, 2, my kid wasn't allowed and she caused me extra stress about it, and 3, told me that she wouldn't photograph my newborn because of my behavior with the owner of the studio. I filed a chargeback for the full amount for the above reasons, and now Mary is suing me for the session cost and half of the studio. I don't know what to do, and she won't give me my photos. Mary has me blacklisted with the other photographers in the area now, and my mother says that it's no surprise after the way I acted, so I better get good at using a camera for my own photos. Am I the asshole? Now in the comments, Lamau? This is as clear-cut a you're the asshole as they come. The studio rented out in 2-hour increments. You only paid for 1 hour. Therefore, your ownership of the studio only went from 11:30 to 12:30. 1. You showed up early at 11 o'clock. That was not your studio time. 2. You freaked out about a reasonable policy. It's not your photographer's fault your childcare fell through. And 3. You filed a chargeback for the full amount instead of trying to be reasonable and negotiating a partial refund, which I still don't think you would have deserved, frankly. You deserve to lose your court case. Also, it costs money to the vendor just because you filed a chargeback, as in the card network takes the money that you, in this case, rightfully paid, and an additional fee. Then there is an additional fee to the vendor to dispute it. This is insult upon insult on top of injury. You cost her money on the studio, her time, and expense taking photos when she could have booked another person in your space who actually paid her, likely caused her issues with the studio owner / other reputational harm, time and energy fighting you for the money she earned, and the frickin' chargeback fees. I feel like when your own mother thinks you've crossed the line, you've usually crossed the line. Yeah, you're the asshole. In what world is bringing your child to a sexy photo shoot okay? And she provided you the services you paid for, so why file a chargeback? You're the asshole, plus her mum watched the child. Why wasn't the mum called as soon as she found out that her childcare fell through? I think the poster left some important information out because this isn't it. Shake my head. She was nowhere near the word count, so she could have included that information. And our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for telling my coworker that it's not my fault that she's single when she said that it's not okay for my husband to send me gifts at our workplace? My 26 female husband, 50 male, sends me gifts at work every day since we started dating. He usually sends me a rose and a coffee with a note wishing me a good day, or just a note telling me that he loves me. Sometimes he also sends me chocolates or food from my favorite restaurant, etc. He's a very romantic and attentive man, and I love that. But my coworker, 40s female, doesn't like it at all. Yesterday, he sent me some croissants and a coffee with a note saying that he loved me, and when my coworker saw it, she said I should tell him to stop, that it's not appropriate to receive gifts every day, and another coworker told her that she was being bitter, and that it's nice to have such a loving husband, that since I'm pregnant it was understandable that he spoiled me so much, but she insisted that it's not appropriate in any way, and that if he doesn't stop, she will talk to our boss. She said that she will tell him that she feels uncomfortable, and that I'm not being professional enough, and that she wants another office mate. And that made me so mad because I'm professional enough. The things my husband sends me don't bother anyone, and they're not a distraction to me either, but according to her, they are. So I told her that it's not my fault that she is single and does not receive anything from anyone, and that maybe if she were not so bitter, someone would send her at least a coffee. And she got angry, and now she told everyone that I was rude, and that if I don't apologize, she will talk to HR to see what they can do with me. When I told her that I didn't think of being single as a bad thing, I only said it because she sounded like an envious person. That's all. But apparently, what I said hurt her. Am I the asshole? I think I should clarify that he does not show up to my work to deliver the gifts in person. He usually sends me breakfast because I can't have breakfast early in the morning, so when he goes to work, he stops by my favorite cafe and he orders what he knows that I like and tells them where the order should be delivered. The owners are his friends, so he gives them the notes to be delivered with the order. And last but not least, I received the order at the entrance. Nobody receives the orders for me. That's why I don't understand what bothers her so much. Also, it bothers her that I put photos of my children and my husband on my desk, which doesn't even make sense because those photos are on my side of the office. Sadly, this is not the first time that she says that I'm being unprofessional. As for her, having photos of your children in the office is not professional, so I don't know how I should act to please her. Now in the comments, everyone sucks here. So she may be jealous and should not have said anything since it doesn't affect her job. You replied with a personal attack, which puts you at the same level as her. As a random person, I just have to say that it's weird that your husband sends you a gift to your place of work every single day since you met each other. That is not romance, that's pissing on your property so everyone knows it's taken. Romance can be public at times, but the workplace is a weirdly public flex. That's what I thought about the everyday gifts, especially with the age difference too. I agree with you, everyone sucks here. I would honestly get really annoyed if my husband sent me gifts to work daily and would ask him to stop. Am I the only one who doesn't think ordering her breakfast is a gift? Nope, I'm here with you. He's making sure she's fed and feels loved. Plus, OP is pregnant, so he's also making sure his unborn child is cared for. Wow, he's a mastermind. Red flag city. I think people really want to be mad about the age gap, but don't want to have to confront how unwoke that would actually make them, so they are latching onto him being kind, thoughtful. That might actually be the real problem OP's coworker is having with all of this. You're the asshole. Every day is excessively disruptive, and your comment was intentionally cruel. And before you start in on me, no, I'm not single. Daily gifts combined with the age gap gives a weird vibe, kinda like her husband is insecure. Everyone sucks here. Sending stuff to work every day is honestly a bit try-hard and unprofessional. Why can't he get you flowers at home? Because then you wouldn't have a command audience for your grand romance. I would roll my eyes as your coworker too. She should have ignored it. And when she said something, you could have been less snide about her single status. I worked with a woman whose husband sent jewelry and ginormous florals every major holiday. No one minded. She was pleasant and got her work done and wasn't smug. Anyway guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you did like it, tell me what you thought about it down in the comments below, and make sure to just interact with everyone in this community. I love each and every one of you that I get to see on a daily basis. And don't forget, if you are a Patreon subscriber, I love you. You're on the screen right now with the YouTube members as well. If you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. You guys help me continue this YouTube journey. You keep me going. I see you guys everywhere. I see your messages, and thank you so much for supporting me. I really love every single one of you. But with that all said, I'm going to be signing off now, guys. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.